Hey everybody, it's Patrick from Patrick and Friends Music Company, and today we're going to talk about the difference between major and minor chords. We're going to break this down step by step, first looking at our chord shapes, and then going into the theory behind it. Alright, let's get right to it. In general, the difference between major and minor chords is the sound. Major chords sound lighter and are perceived as being a happier sounding chord. So a song with a happier or more upbeat message will tend to be in a major key with more major chords. On the flip side, a minor chord has a darker sound to it, and a lot of times a song with a more somber message will be in a minor key with a lot of minor chords. Now this isn't the rule 100% of the time, but as you start to listen to more and more music and start to pay attention to this, you'll see this pattern come up a lot. If we take a look at our E major and E minor chord shapes, you'll notice we have a one note difference. The first fret of the G string is being held down in our E major chord, and we have an open G string for our E minor chord. Now this one note is the difference between our major and minor chords. It's what we call the third of the chord. In major chords, what we have is a major third, and in minor chords, we have a minor third. Let's break this down and see what this means. So to understand the difference between major and minor thirds, we have to understand how chords are built. Now, major and minor chords are what we call triads, meaning they're made up of three different notes. Our E major chord is made up of the E, G sharp, and B notes, while our E minor chord is made up of the notes E, G, and B. Now you may be wondering, when you play your E major and E minor chord shapes, we have a lot more than three notes. And this is true, but all we're doing when we do our guitar chords is we're just doubling those notes in different octaves. So what I mean, if we take a look at our E major chord shape and we spell out the chords, we have E, B, E, G sharp, B, and E. And again, we only have three different notes, but we're just repeating the E two more times and repeating that B note another time. So these three different notes are what we call thirds or third intervals. And what this means is we go from note to note, we're skipping a note in the key. So if we take a look at the E major key and chord, the first three notes of an E major key or scale are the notes E, F sharp, and G sharp. But in our E major chord, we're skipping that F sharp and going straight from our E to our G sharp. Then from our G sharp to B, in a major key, we have G sharp, A, and B. But again, our chord, we're skipping the A note and going straight from our G sharp to our B. This is the same for our minor chord. So in an E minor key or scale, we have the notes E, F sharp, and G. Except in our E chord, we're skipping from E to G. And then our next notes in an E minor scalar key are G, A, and B. And again, we're skipping that A and going straight from our G to our B note. Now this leaves us with the 1, 3, and 5, or the first, third, and fifth notes of the key or scale. And these three notes are what make up our chords. Now in our major and minor chords, in these E major and minor chords, we have two of the same notes. Our 1 and our 5, our first and our third note of the chord are E and B. The only difference is that major and minor third. The major third is our G sharp, and the minor third is our G. Now, this is true for all major and minor chords. All of them have the same first and fifth note, so the first and third note of the chord, but that third note, or the second note of the chord, is the thing that's different. All major chords have a major third, while all minor chords have a minor third. There's a couple different ways to figure out what your major and minor thirds are going to be from a specific note. Now, the first way is kind of what we did before, is figure out the note and then figure out the first and third note in that key or scale. So if we look at the note A, and we think about our A major scale, the first three notes are A, B, and C sharp. So if you go straight from the first note to the third note, A to C sharp, that's your major third. Now, if you look at the minor, all you gotta do is switch it to a minor key. So our first three notes in the minor key of A are A, B, and C. So go straight from the first note to the third note, A to C, and you have a minor third. However, when we're talking about major and minor thirds, we're not always referencing keys, we're really just looking at the interval. And all this means is the distance between two notes. Additionally, if you're not familiar with your major and minor keys, this can be pretty tough to figure out. And also, it can be a little time consuming to always reference back to your major and minor keys. So again, we're going to look at the distance between these two notes when referring to our major and minor thirds. It's actually a great way to figure this out on guitar. Our minor third is made up of 3 half steps or 3 chromatic notes, and on guitar we can look at this through our frets. So to get our minor third, what we're going to do is go up 3 frets from our first note. So say we start on the note E using our open low E string. To get to our minor third, we're going to go to the 3rd fret of our low E string, which is the note G. So E to G is our minor third. Now we can figure this out chromatically by going E, F, F sharp, and G. Now this works on any string. So say we want to go to the 3rd fret of our D string. That's the note F. Now to get to our minor third, we go up 3 frets to our 6th fret. That's our minor third, which is the note A flat. Again, we can figure this out chromatically by going F, G flat, G, A flat. So our major third is the same thing, except we go up 1 more half step or 1 more fret. So it's 4 half steps for our major third. So to get to your major third from your low E string, you're going to go to the 4th fret of the E string. So open E to the 4th fret, the note G sharp. Again, we can figure this out chromatically. E, F, F sharp, G, and G sharp. Again, this works on any string. So say we want to go to the 3rd fret of our A string. To get to our major third, we go up 4 frets to the 7th fret, which is the note E. And again, we can figure this out chromatically. C, C sharp, D, D sharp, and E. You're not going to always see your major and minor thirds on the same string on guitar, especially when we talk about chords. There's a pretty kind of simple formula to get your major and minor thirds going across a string. So if we start on the 3rd fret of our low E string, to get to a major third, what you're going to do is go to your next string, go down a fret, so the 2nd fret of the A string. So now the 3rd fret of the E string to the 2nd fret of our A string is a major third from G to B. Now to get to your minor third, all you do is go down 1 more fret to the 1st fret. So now from the 3rd fret of our low E string to the 1st fret of our A string is a minor third, G to B flat. Now this works from your A to D strings, D to G, except when you get to your G to B strings, it does change a little bit because of how the guitar is tuned. So say you want to get to your major third, say we're starting on the 4th fret of the G string. To get to your major third, you just go to the same fret on your B string, so the 4th fret. Now to get to your minor third, you just go down 1 fret, so from the 4th fret of the G string to the 3rd fret of the B string. When you go to your B to E strings now, it goes back to normal, so down 1 fret for your major third, down 2 frets for your minor third. Now you can start to see this in your chords. So if you look at your C major chord, you'll see that from our A string, from the 3rd fret, we have a major third to the 2nd fret of the D string. Now if you take a look at your E major chord, you'll see we have a major third from the 2nd fret of the D string to the 1st fret of the G string, down a fret from the D to the G. Now if you take a look at E minor, you'll notice it changes. We go from the 2nd fret of our D string to the open G string, so down 2 frets. Now finally, if you take a look at A minor, you'll see that we have a minor third between the 2nd fret of our G string and the 1st fret of our B string. This is our weird set of strings, so you only go down 1 fret to get to your minor third. Now you're going to see different intervals in your chords, because chords are made up of different types and different sets of intervals. But you'll always see that from your root to your thirds, going to be a major third in a major chord and a minor third in a minor chord. Now the most important thing to understand about the difference between major and minor chords is actually the first thing we talked about, the sound. Being able to identify these chords and being able to hear the difference by ear is really important as you go along in your musical development. Now, understanding the theory and seeing it on guitar and seeing how they differ on guitar will also be really useful as you go along and develop your talents. So in our next video, what we're going to do is talk about the difference between our major and minor keys and scales. So I hope to see you in the next video, but in the meantime, happy practicing.